Do you have a favorite technology tool that you use all the time? I'll tell you something. One day, 20, 30 years from now, if you are talking to your children or grandchildren and you tell them about today's tech tool that you use, that you like, they will look at you with astonishment and say, "Boy, that's old-fashioned." Well, today I'm going to tell you about something that I used to use that is old-fashioned.
English without fear, where you can learn to speak English naturally through listening to stories.
So what is old-fashioned? If something's old-fashioned, that means it is something from the past. For example, train engines. In the 1800s, they used to run on coal, that black charcoal substance that you would burn. We don't have coal-fired locomotives, trains anymore. Or imagine how people in the old days, what they had to do to make whipped cream for your favorite dessert. Today, I use an electric beater, but in the old days, they had to make whipped cream the old-fashioned way, with their hand whipping, beating the cream. That took a lot of strength. So, what old-fashioned device did I used to use? Well, if you see the picture on the screen, it's the typewriter. Yes, something called a manual typewriter. That's how I learned to keyboard, to use what we now call a computer keyboard. When I was in high school in the 1970s, my father gave me his old typewriter. It was not electric, it was manual. You didn't plug it in, you used your hands, manual. And every morning before school, I was 15, I spent 20 minutes up in my room at my desk going through a book called Learn to Type. And there were exercises. I learned to position, to place my hands, my fingers on the correct keys and not to hunt and peck. I learned to use my left hand to hit this handle and push it across the machine. That would position the keys to be ready to type or write a new line. You had to press down really hard on the keys to make them work. But it was fun. And by the end of the year, I could type pretty quickly, pretty fast. In those days, you could either handwrite a long paper or you could type it. It became easier to type, except when you made a mistake. Well, I went off to college and my dad bought me an electric typewriter that plugged in. I could type faster on that because I didn't have to press down on the keys so hard. Why did my dad want me to type? He found it very useful in his everyday work. My mother was able to get a job because she knew how to type, and she knew something called shorthand. It was a quick way to copy down everything somebody was saying, not writing it out super fast, but with symbols, shorthand. And she had worked as a newspaper reporter, getting interviews using shorthand, and then she would go back to the newspaper office and type up her articles, her reports. She thought that if I knew how to type and if I knew how to use shorthand, to take shorthand, then I could always get a job, even though I was going to go to university. When I got to university with my electric typewriter, the school had personal computers. There was something called a computer lab, a laboratory, a special room where the school had 30 of these new personal computers. They were very expensive. They had memory. Memory was something unheard of. So one semester at university in college, I also took a class called keyboarding so I could learn how to use a computer. Nowadays, nobody uses typewriters unless they want to be retro, unless they want to use something old-fashioned. As a family, we did not get our first personal computer until 1993. Our oldest son had just turned 10, and we bought a personal computer. Well, he never used a typewriter. He is now 40 years old. He learned to keyboard in school in 4th grade with 8 or 9 years old, at 8 or 9 years old. And kids today, they don't even take a class called keyboarding. They just grow up knowing how to type. It's amazing. Things really do change. So tell me, what technology tool or device are you now using that you imagine 30 years from now, when you tell someone younger about it, they will be amazed? Leave me a comment below this video and write down your current favorite tech tool. Well, that's it for this episode. I'm Maria from English Without Fear. Talk to you next time.